Barry Simons and Tony Sutton are in the infield to keep us abreast of all that is going on. Gentlemen, we hope not to have to work you too hard, but in the event that we do, you're there and ready. Here we go, off the turn. Green flag is out, and it is the brothers Christopher to bring the field into turn number 2. But look what happens. It is Richie Gallup, car number 31, that makes a bold move down low, makes the groove 3 wide, and Gallup grabs the lead as they exit turn number 4. It is Gallup, Ted Christopher, Tom Tagg, Bob Potter, and Mike Christopher. A terrific move from Richie Gallup in car number 31. Meanwhile, the battle shaping up for position 4 as Potter finds himself haunted by the 82 of Mike Christopher. Michael up high with a brand new paint scheme this year. Thinks better of it, tucks right back in on the rear bumper of Potter. Brad Thrall runs next in the 93. So as it stands right now, it is the 31 of Gallup, the 13 of Christopher, the 3 of Tagg, the 51 of Bob Potter, the 82 of Mike Christopher, and the 93 of Brad Thrall. We had the feeling the Christophers approached that first turn with great trepidation, and Gallup hopped right on that opening. They've raced against each other long enough to know. They may be brothers, but they're also competitors. Bobby Potter up to the outside, makes it look easy as he drives right on by Tom Tagg. Potter puts the Jigs Beetham car number 51 into position 3 and now veers right down on the rear bumper of Teddy Christopher in the Sanitary Services number 13. Potter looks to the inside. He is absolutely hooked with that race car, Raleigh. Oh, man alive. And I'm sure Mr. Gallup knows this race is far from over as he looks behind him. Oh, and around goes Lombardi. The 78X is still running, and Steve appears to be headed back out onto the racetrack. We'll see if we can remain under green here. The question is, did the car stall? Maybe it did, and apparently it did. Yellow flag is out. So Steve Lombardo brings out the first yellow flag of the event. And what a surprise that first lap proved to be as Mike and Ted Christopher went side by side into turn number 1, and right out of nowhere came Richie Gallup.
Well, Russ, brief report from midfield. Patch Umbrella, mechanical problem of some sort. He's taken his car back to the pits. And John Sneed, 55, who blew his engine at the last minute last night and put a new engine in overnight, working on it furiously this morning, but obviously it just...
Barry, we've got problems in turn number 2. Sorry to interrupt, but we've got a car going around in turn number 2 just after the green flag came out. We've also got a couple of cars involved in a mishap in turn 1. It appears to be the Jamie Steele automobile. Ted Christopher went around with the 13. The 35 car of Bernie Singer also involved. The 3 of Tom Tagg and car number 22. Pace car pulls away. Richie Gallup jumps on the throttle just as the green flag comes out, and Gallup will bring them off the turn back down to the line. Richie Gallup, Bob Potter, and Mike Christopher. They head back for turn 1. Gallup has the advantage. Here comes Potter. Bob Potter, running like he is on rails here today, has moved his way from the 6th starting spot up to 2nd, is now challenging Gallup for the lead. They head back to turn 1. Gallup down on the low groove. Potter takes a look down there as well. We're shuffling the deck deeper in the pack as Kenny Johnson and Moose Hewitt come through. Zambelli goes around with the 18. And problems with the number 99, the Greg Tinkham car as well. Earl Lateral slowing on the back straightaway, and all of this activity brings out yet another caution. So Tim Zambelli, car number 18, back. I got a little mix-up in the back of the pack as to who belongs where, but green flag back out. They exit turn 4, and once again, Raleigh, it is Richie Gallup. Gallup keeps the car right down to the bottom of the racetrack, and the 51 of Potter now runs 2nd. Here comes Bob Georgiadis. He looks to be outside of the 82 of Christopher. Into turn 3 they go. Georgiadis looks way up high on the racetrack. Christopher maintains the low groove. Brad Thrall is right there knocking at the door with the 93, but here comes Steve Shawanski. Shawanski has managed to win opening night the last 2 years here and would love to add a victory on Sizzler weekend. He looks very, very low underneath the 86 of Georgiadis. Can't make the move that time, but it's still very, very early in this event.
And here comes Potter with a challenge as they head into turn 1, but Gallup shuts the door on him. And we'll keep an eye on Potter, see what he does again. Moves right up on the bumper of Gallup. And I mean on his bumper. And look at Christopher come back. And Teddy is on the move in the number 13.
Ted, if you recall, involved in that mishap down in turn 1 not all that long ago. He's right down underneath Savage. In fact, he picks up 2 spots between turns 1 and 2 as he puts away Charlie Savage and Moose Hewitt. Teddy Christopher on a roll with car number 13. Back to the head of the class, it is still the 31 of Richie Gallup, the 51 of Bob Potter, the 82 of Mike Christopher, the 93 of Brad Thrall, the 86 of Bob Georgiadis, and up on the high side, it's the 57 of Steve Shawanski. Then Frank Hurt, Bo Gunning, and Kenny Johnson. 11 laps up on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard as car number 3, Tom Tagg, has retired to the infield. The 57 of Shawanski now has managed to break away. He finds himself in 4th and is beginning to separate himself ever so slightly from the rest of this pack. He wants to reel in the high-flying front trio.
Potter again, ducks low, again. Gallup shuts the door on him.
Looks like a little dance off of turn number 4 with Brad Thrall, Bo Gunning, and Bob Georgiadis. Fortunately, they all danced to the same tune and came out of that one unscathed.
Around in between turns 1 and 2, and we've got the caution flying again.
The 18 of Tim Zambelli
Pulls in the pace car. Gallup hops right on that accelerator and pounds right out to the lead once again. Mike Christopher low on Potter. Let's see if he can mount a challenge for that second spot. Not that time around. Shawanski on the outside, but Christopher holding that number 3 spot. And another spin, the 19 of Moose Hewitt.
Problems over turn 4 as Bo Gunning, Kurt Brainerd, and there is another car involved in that. We are not sure.
Ron Rocco, it appears to be
Frank Hurt car. Frank Hurt in the 24. Instant drivers to have ever twisted a wheel here at the Stafford Speedway, and has done so for many, many years. Let's see what happens this time. Richie Gallup, certainly no shrinking violet, a real veteran of the modified wars. Here he comes. Gallup gains the advantage once again and will lead them back to turn 1, but there's Mike Christopher down on the inside. Can't make the move underneath Potter. It is Gallup and Potter, 1-2, followed by Christopher. Here comes Steve Shawanski in that blue number 57. Bob Georgiadis, the man they call the Snake, down low with the 86. And then Ted Christopher has come all the way back right to the front of this field.
Well, we've got to keep an eye on Charlie Savage, too, because he's worked his way well in that number 11. Just bobbled a bit out of turn 2 and lost a spot to the Paquette number 1.
Back across the line. Raleigh, here comes the challenge. Down on the inside, Bob Potter makes the move off of turn 4 and grabs the lead as they work their way through turns 1 and 2. It's a brand new ball game as Bob Potter now has the advantage into turn 3. It is Potter, Gallup, Mike Christopher in that order. Off the turn they come. Running in position 4 is the 57 of Shawanski, the 86 of Georgiadis, the 13 of Christopher, the 78 of Lombardo, and the 1 of Mike Paquette.
Here comes Ted now under Georgiadis, forced to back off as Georgiadis guns away down the backstretch. Here comes Ted once again to challenge for that spot.
Down low, he looks to make the move. Christopher and Lombardo playing bumper tag down the front straightaway. Teddy now makes the move nice and clean underneath the 86 of Georgiadis. And Ted Christopher puts the 13 into the top 5.
A little tapping going on, but everyone hanging in their positions. And we're at the halfway mark.
17 up on the Winston Racing Series scoreboard, 35 the scheduled distance as Brad Thrall is in trouble with his car. He's down on the infield pit road, apparently mechanical problems sidelining his effort here this afternoon. Bob Potter, Richie Gallup, Mike Christopher, Steve Shawansky, the top 4. Then it's a long ways back to the 13 of Ted Christopher, the 86 of Bobby Georgiadis, the 78 of Steve Lombardo, the 1 of Mike Paquette, the 11 of Charlie Savage, the 88. Also running right in there, as is Sneed in the 55. Jerry Savage in car number 88. Brand new paint scheme for him this year. Bo Gunning now finds himself knocking on the door, slides down through the infield. He goes right through the backstretch car wash. Spins around. We'll see if he's able to refire that car. If he is, we'll warn. So we ask that you please remain seated if you are in front of the scoring section so that the scorers are able to do their job.
All right, here we come. And Potter gets the jump on Gallup on the restart. Gallup will now have to hold off some severe challengers from Mike Christopher, Steve Shawansky. Look at the tussle for third place now. Side by side down the backstretch. And Ted Christopher right there, awaiting an opening.
Shawansky gets a good bite off the high groove. Slides into third with that very, very potent blue number 57 automobile. The Christopher brothers run side by side off of turn 2. It is Mike on the inside, Ted on the high side. Who will it be as they enter turn 3? Down low, Mike has the advantage. Ted does not get the bite off of 4 that he wanted, but he is able to motor right up alongside as they head back to turn 1. The Christopher brothers side by side, slugging it out for that spot, and Mike grabs the advantage. He moves into the 4th position, and here comes Mike Paquette with that yellow number 1. Meanwhile, up front, Bob Potter still has command of this situation with Richie Gallup and Steve Shawansky in tow.
Shawansky is now closing in on Gallup, so we may have a challenge for that number 2 spot very, very shortly. Gallup gets a little bit of a push from Shawansky. Thank you, sir.
Steve says 2 can go faster than 1.
Just 10 remain now, 10 to go. Next on the agenda will be the Mod Tour Consolation Race.
Bob Potter looks to pick up where he left off by claiming another track championship, and what better way to start that run than by taking down the win on Spring Sizzler weekend in the Winston Racing Series modified portion of the Spring Sizzler program. John Sneed with problems in car number 55. He's just out for the ride this afternoon. Meanwhile, Potter, Gallup, Shawansky, and Mike Christopher. And it continues to be Bob Potter, Richie Gallup, Steve Shawansky, and Mike Christopher. Ted Christopher, Mike Paquette run next. Then it is the 86 of Bob Georgiadis, the 11 of Charlie Savage, the 33 of Bo Gunning. A spin over in turn 3 as Steve Lombardo finds that car just simply not working today at all. The 78X has gone around, and he will, the Winston modified series. We have a new record that is over the Speedway. Boy, that could swallow up a few race cars and take off.
Here we go with the restart. Nope. Someone is out of sequence.
An interesting thought. It is the 51 of Bob Potter.
The problem seems to be to fight Mr. Potter with.
And it looks like Bob Potter has the coffee to do it. Off the turn they come, back down to the stripe. Potter and Shawanski now set the pace. They run 3 wide momentarily on the front straightaway as Ronnie Rocco experiences problems with the 13. He is very, very slow on the racetrack. Everybody else makes it by, and Rocco will drop down out of harm's way. Meantime, Bob Potter puts another lap up on the scoreboard, makes it 30, with only 5 laps left to go. Bob Potter, out of Norwich, Connecticut, brings the field around. The veteran looks for yet another win, and yet in his rearview mirror, out of Waterbury, is Steve Shawanski, who has managed to do exceptionally well. In fact, has won opening night the last 2 consecutive years. Can he add a sizzler win to that? They head back across the line. 1 more lap goes up on the scoreboard. Next time by, we will find ourselves with 2 to go. Shawanski peeks to the inside. Potter automatically closes the door, and Shawanski will have to do it on the outside if Potter has his way. They come up on the lap car of Ron Rocco. Rocco drops it down low. Everybody zips right on by on the high side. Teddy Christopher and Mike Christopher playing bumper tag as they work their way down the front straightaway. It is Potter, Shawanski, and Gallup running 1, 2, 3. Then the brothers Christopher, Ted, and Mike in that order. 1 more lap around. White flag is displayed for Bob Potter. Rick Bennett has gone around with the 83. We'll see what happens if we remain under green. The answer appears to be yes, as Bennett's car is. The answer is no. Bennett's car apparently just up into the groove, and we have to go to caution on the final circuit. So Potter certainly has his hands full now as he has to go again. Pace car barely makes it in. Green flag is out. A picture-perfect restart. And Potter grabs the advantage. Back to 1. Potter tucks the car way down low as Jamie Steele has problems. We've got a spin in turn 1. It looks to be the 24, Frank Hurt. Yellow flag back out. Hurt backs up right into the groove. Fortunately, everyone slows. Mike Paquette gets down into the infield as it becomes more and more nerve-wracking. Let's see what happens this time. Once again, side by side, picture perfect. Potter picks up the lead. Gallup looks to the inside of Shawanski, can't make the move as Ted Christopher tries the outside of Gallup. He can't do it, and Mike Christopher now puts the 82 into position number 4, but Teddy battles back on the outside. White flag out 1 more time around. Will Bob Potter prevail at the checker? That's the question through turns 1 and 2. Mike Christopher looks underneath Richie Gallup. No room that time. They're coming home. The 51 of Bob Potter, staged for his first win of the season here at the Stafford Motor Speedway, and he grabs it. Followed by Shawanski. The 31 of Gallup, the 82 of Christopher, the 13 of Ted Christopher, and the 86 of Bob Georgiadis. So it is Bob Potter out of Norwich, Connecticut. Car number 51 taking down the win. In the second spot, the 57 of Steve Shawanski. Third will be the 31, former race leader, Richie Gallup. Then the 82 of Mike Christopher in the 4th spot. And rounding out the top 5 will be car number 13, which is that of Ted Christopher. So claiming yet another win here on the half mile. Man who has been around, in fact, since the dirt days. Driver Bob Potter out of Norwich, Connecticut. Raleigh Jacobs is trackside, and Bob is taking his helmet off. Receives congratulations from Army Nadeau and from Chris Hopkins. All the photos being taken as Potter basks in the sun-filled victory lane here this afternoon. Winner of the Winston Racing Series Modified Feature, Bob Potter. Bob being congratulated by friends and by the crew. He'll make his way over to the victory podium where Raleigh Jacobs awaits. Raleigh?
Okay, another big smile heading my way. Bob, I'm sure the last thing a leader in a race wants to see is a caution lap with 1 or 2 laps remaining.
I know, I couldn't believe it. I just wanted this race was going to get over. We're just coming down for the checkered flag, and a couple times, and it happened over and over and over again. I just was hopeful and grateful that nothing turned out bad and everything went good for us.
Well, there's no doubt about it. This is the proper way to start a season. I'm sure psychologically it sets the tone for you now as you get ready for the regular season.
Oh, yeah. I'm real happy for everybody. I tell you, the guys did a heck of a job, and, yesterday our car wasn't going as good as today, but I'm happy for everybody, and hopefully we'll be here again next week, next race.
I know, chatting with you for a short bit yesterday, Bob, I had the feeling that this team was ready.
Well, we got the car done early this year, and we figured we was going to be right there, right on the start, and try to be a little bit closer than what we sometimes normally are, but, everybody worked hard, and we were ready for it.
Now, your duel with Richie Gallup and then with Steve Shawanski certainly were the highlights of the race, and that move on Gallup was a good one.
Well, I was trying to drive in as hard as I could, and I figured if I get him up, get a little bit of a push in him, I could get him on the bottom, and he looked like he was getting pushy in a little lassie, so the harder I drove, hopefully I was trying to get him to go in a little deeper, which he did, and got by him.
What was your thinking today, Bob, coming in with the weather conditions? With here we have sunshine now, we had the clouds, certainly a lot of dampness earlier. What was the team's feeling?
Well, we made a few changes in the setup just because of the warmer weather, and it seemed to work out pretty good. It was right front was bouncing a little bit at the end, but not enough to really affect it.
Congratulations, Bob. A great way to get the 92 season started.
Thank you very much.
As Bob Potter picks up his first win of the 1992 season here at the Stafford Motor Speedway and looks forward to many, many more before the year is out.